My name is Angela Fleming. I teach AIG Language Arts in a struggling reader behavior class. I get to loop with my students, which I feel builds a family feeling in my classes. I had no desire to be a teacher when I first went to college. No thank you, not at all. However, when expecting my first son, I decided to become a stay-at-home mom. When my children started elementary school, I volunteered. This led to me reading with children, telling stories, and promoting reading programs. This then opened doors to being a part-time assistant, tutor, and substitute. And then here I am, a teacher for 8 years and enrolled in our master's program. Not the road I mapped out for myself years ago, but a better road I cannot imagine. As I create this podcast on Saturday, May 27th, I reflect on the readings we have done for this class. I believe that I have incorporated many of these ideas into my teaching, but I am awakened to the importance of these ideas and inspired to do more. Education is the practice of freedom. We do not want our students to feel that chains bind their learning and block their cultural identities. In our critical pedagogy introduction, the authors claim that an important emphasis here is that students are encouraged to engage the world within its complexity and fullness in order to reveal the possibilities of new ways of constructing thought and action beyond how it currently exists. An important part of critical literacy is the need to appreciate diversity in our classrooms. Delpit states that first, they should recognize that the linguistic form a student brings to school is intimately connected with loved ones, community, and personal identity. There exists a vital need to interact and learn from different cultural groups. Our classes will be richer by hearing our students' voices as they share their experiences and cultures. I also gain new ideas to incorporate. Nicolina's Chatting with Letters article inspires me to use her idea with my students. I could do this with letters or with blogs. My students' writing could provide evidence of their critical literacy, which involves the analysis and critique of the relationships among text, language, power, social groups, and social practices. This would facilitate our students to learn to read critically. Reading critically involves second-guessing, reading against the grain, asking hard and harder questions, seeing underneath, behind, and beyond text. What if I extended this idea to create a letter exchange or blogging project with another class? The capital punishment idea used by Nicolini would be a great platform to jumpstart this exchange. Another strategy is to make sure all of my students are involved in discussions. Don't just ask factual questions, but instead ask deeper questions where my students have an interest to their answers being heard. Through this, I can teach them the rules of civility and model standard English while they are involved and invested in the discussions, whether written or oral. I plan to use the discussion strategies explained in That Was Basically Me. The authors state that, in valuing student talk, we return to the premise that reading, talking, and creating meaning together with other people are valuable aids to expanding thinking and understanding the perspectives of others. Delpit states that we want to create classrooms where students don't just accept the norm in what they read, but critically think about the topic or reading and challenge themselves to use what they read and their knowledge to form new and better ideas to create better futures for all. I want to make sure I am not just a bank teller filling deposits, but instead I want to challenge my students. I want to engage them in their learning. I want them to question, to problem solve, to actively participate in dialogue, to learn and to teach. I want my students to realize that learning is not finite, but instead learning leads to more questions, more dialogue, and to a constant flow of continuous discovery and action. All human activity is understood as emerging from an ongoing interaction of reflection, dialogue, and action, namely praxis. And as praxis, all human activity requires theory to illuminate it and provide a better understanding of the world as we find it and as it might be. Through dialogue, the teacher of the students and the students of the teacher cease to exist, and a new term emerges, teacher-student with students-teachers. The teacher is no longer merely the one who teaches, but one who is himself taught in dialogue with the students, who in turn, while being taught, also teaches. They become jointly responsible for a process in which all grow. Isn't this what we desire for our students and for ourselves? To continually grow and challenge in our learning, to become not just better persons ourselves, but to make a positive impact on our world. Dean writes, but we may find, and this has been my experience, that in helping students make cultural transitions, We learn from them how to make transitions ourselves. As we fluidly evolve our classrooms, we should remember to listen and respond to our students' voices. If we do so, there are no limits on what we can accomplish with our students. Student Jennifer Lohr was quoted, "We are the next generation. What we're doing now will impact our kids and our kids' kids." Student Sebastian Reed, "Along this journey, students can inspire each other. Now we're all here together, and we're all building each other up."